The summer sun was bright over the backyard as the Adams family gathered for their annual barbecue. It was one of those warm Texas afternoons where the smell of roasted burgers mixed with laughter and the sound of children running across the grass. Music played softly from a speaker on the porch, and everyone looked relaxed, everyone except Daniel. Sarah stood near the grill, fixing plates and watching her 10-year-old daughter, Emily, play with her cousins. Emily had always been full of energy. She laughed loudly, ran fast, and talked even faster. She was the kind of child who carried light in her eyes, the kind who could brighten any moment just by being herself. Sarah smiled, happy to see her daughter so free. It had been a long week for both of them. Today was supposed to be simple, a happy family day. Across the yard, however, Daniel watched Emily with a deep frown on his face. His shoulders were stiff, his jaw tight. No one noticed him at first. Everyone else was too busy talking, drinking lemonade, and enjoying the warm air. But Daniel's eyes followed Emily for several minutes, and the tension in his face kept growing. Emily's laugh rose again, loud and joyful, as she chased a red ball around the garden. And that was the moment something inside Daniel snapped. He moved fast. Too fast. Sarah didn't even see him coming. 1 second Daniel was standing near the porch, and the next he was storming across the grass with long, angry steps. Emily didn't see him either. She was still laughing, running after the ball with her ponytail bouncing behind her. Sarah finally turned just in time to see Daniel reach Emily. Then it happened. Smack. A sharp, echoing slap. Loud. Hard. Shocking. Emily froze where she stood. The ball rolled away. Her small hand slowly rose to her cheek as tears filled her eyes. In that instant, the entire yard went silent. Even the music seemed to fade away. Sarah dropped a plate on the ground. It shattered, but no one looked at it. Every pair of eyes was locked on Daniel and Emily. Daniel didn't look sorry. He didn't look shocked. He looked angry, like Emily had personally insulted him. In a cold, harsh voice he said, "Your daughter needs to stop being so loud. It's annoying. No one here wants to hear her scream." Emily's chin trembled. She didn't scream. She didn't argue. She just stood there with a burning red mark across her tiny face. Sarah rushed toward her daughter and pulled her into her arms. She checked her cheek, her eyes full of fear, anger, and confusion all at once. "How dare you!" Sarah shouted, shaking as she held Emily close. "She's a child, Daniel." But Daniel stepped back, raising his hands like he was the one being attacked. "Someone had to teach her. You let her run wild. It's embarrassing." The family looked on in shock. Some neighbors had stopped talking. Even the children were quiet now, watching with wide eyes. Sarah's voice cracked with anger. "You slapped a 10-year-old girl. What is wrong with you?" Daniel opened his mouth, ready to defend himself again, but something flickered in his expression. A strange, almost fearful look passed through his eyes, then quickly vanished. He turned away, muttering, "I just did what needed to be done." But Sarah wasn't done. Not even close. She stood up straight, her voice steady but filled with controlled fire. "Daniel, don't push me. Don't make me remind you of what you did last year." The entire family stiffened. Daniel froze. His face lost color, like the air had been sucked out of him. He turned his head slightly, just enough to look at Sarah. His eyes widened in a way that wasn't anger, more like fear. A heavy silence fell over the yard. "What are you talking about?" someone whispered from the back. But Sarah didn't answer. She kept her eyes locked on her brother. Emily sniffed quietly in her mother's arms, her cheek still red. For the first time, Daniel didn't speak. He didn't shout, didn't argue. He just stood there, breathing hard, eyes avoiding everyone. His hands were trembling slightly. No one understood why. No one knew what Sarah meant. But Daniel knew. And that alone was enough to make him step back. He turned and walked toward the house, pushing past the screen door without another word. The sound of the door slamming echoed through the backyard. The family slowly turned back to Sarah, waiting for her to explain. But she only held Emily closer, her jaw tight, her eyes burning with something stronger than anger. Regret. Fear. And a secret she had kept hidden for a long time. As Emily cried softly against her shoulder, Sarah looked toward the house, the place her brother had disappeared into, and whispered to herself. This is the last time I protect you, Daniel. The peaceful family barbecue was over. And something dark had been released. The backyard was quiet now, except for Emily's soft sobs. Sarah held her daughter tightly, feeling her small body shake. Her own hands were trembling, not just with anger, but with a rising sense of dread. She could still feel the sharp sting of Daniel's slap in her mind, even though Emily's cheek had only a faint mark. It wasn't just about the slap, it was about what it meant. The family members hovered around, unsure of what to say. Some whispered to each other, their faces full of shock. Others simply stared at Daniel, who had disappeared into the house like nothing had happened. The tension hung in the air like a thick cloud, suffocating and heavy. Sarah took a deep breath, trying to calm herself for Emily's sake. It's okay, baby, she whispered. Mommy's here. You're safe now. Emily sniffled and clung to her, but her eyes remained wide and fearful. She looked toward the house, half expecting Daniel to come back and yell at her again. But he didn't. Instead, Sarah's phone buzzed. It was a text from Laura, Daniel's wife. Please don't make things worse. You don't understand. Sarah frowned. What didn't she understand? She had seen it with her own eyes, her brother hitting her daughter. She typed a reply but hesitated. Some instinct told her to wait, to see what Daniel would do next. Meanwhile, whispers started spreading among the relatives. Aunt Karen shook her head. I can't believe he did that, to Emily. Cousin Jason muttered, he always had a temper, but this is crazy. Even Uncle Mike, usually quiet, stepped forward, his face pale. Sarah, you need to stop protecting him. This isn't right. Sarah nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. Daniel had always been unpredictable, but today felt different. Today felt dangerous. After a few minutes, Sarah decided to confront Daniel directly. She went into the house, holding Emily's hand. The hallway smelled faintly of Daniel's cologne, a scent she usually associated with calm and laughter. But today it made her stomach churn. She found him in the living room, pacing back and forth. His hands were in his hair, his face pale, his eyes avoiding hers. Daniel, she said, trying to keep her voice calm but firm. We need to talk. He stopped pacing, finally looking at her. His expression was hard to read. There was anger, yes, but there was also fear. Something Sarah didn't expect. You don't understand, he said quickly. She was, out of control. I couldn't, his voice trailed off. You slapped my daughter. Sarah's voice broke, and tears pricked at her eyes. You slapped Emily in front of everyone. Do you have any idea what you just did? Daniel's shoulders sagged, and he looked away. I didn't mean. You didn't mean. Sarah's voice rose. You hit a 10-year-old child. You think that's okay? That's not meaning it, Daniel. That's violence. There was a long silence. Daniel swallowed hard and rubbed his hands across his face. Then, almost too quietly to hear, he said. I didn't want it to happen. You don't know what it's like. Sarah's heart pounded. What do you mean? Explain it. Daniel hesitated, his eyes darting around the room as if someone else was there, watching. It's hard to explain. Things from last year. I. I've tried to forget, but. Sarah's pulse quickened. Something from the past. Something he didn't want her to know. What things, Daniel? She demanded. He swallowed. I lost control, once. Last year. At a school event. I yelled at a child. Everyone saw it. You covered for me. You kept it secret. But it's been eating at me. I thought I could handle today, but. Sarah's eyes widened. She remembered vaguely the incident at the school. Daniel had been furious over nothing, yelling at a kid, and she had stepped in to prevent him from getting in real trouble. At the time, she had promised herself she would never let anyone know, to protect him. But now it seemed she had only delayed the inevitable. Emily's soft voice pulled Sarah back. Mommy, is Uncle Daniel okay? Sarah turned to her daughter. Her small eyes were wide, fearful but innocent. Sarah swallowed hard and crouched down, taking Emily's hands. He's not okay right now, baby, she said softly. But you are safe. Always. Daniel looked at Emily, and for the first time, guilt crossed his face. He tried to kneel down to apologize, but he froze, unsure what to say. Sarah straightened, her face set. Daniel, this can't happen again. You need help. And I won't stay quiet anymore, not when Emily's safety is at stake. He nodded slowly, defeated. I know. I know you're right. The tension in the room didn't disappear. If anything, it thickened. Sarah could feel it pressing against her chest, a warning that the past wasn't over and that Daniel's anger was only the beginning. Later that night, as Emily slept in her bed, Sarah sat alone in the kitchen, her phone buzzing again. Another message from Laura. There's more you don't know. Be careful. Sarah stared at the screen. Her hand shook. What could be worse than what happened today? And why was everyone suddenly keeping secrets from her? Something told her that this was just the start. Something dangerous, something hidden, and something that could destroy her family if she wasn't careful. And deep down, she knew one thing: she could no longer protect Daniel from himself or from the secrets he was hiding. The house was quiet. But outside, the night seemed darker than usual. Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. The events of the day had only opened a door, one that might lead to chaos. And she had no idea what was waiting on the other side. The next morning, the house felt heavy. The sun was bright outside, but inside, the air seemed thick, almost suffocating. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, staring at her coffee cup. Emily was quietly coloring at the kitchen island, still shaken from yesterday. Her small hands trembled slightly, and every now and then she glanced toward the hallway, as if expecting Daniel to appear suddenly and shout at her again. But he didn't. Daniel had been unusually quiet since the incident. He stayed in his room for most of the morning, only leaving to eat a few bites of breakfast, avoiding everyone's eyes. He seemed distant, almost fragile. Something Sarah hadn't seen before. Sarah's phone buzzed again. Another text from Laura. I told you not to push him. You don't know what he's dealing with. Sarah frowned. What is she talking about? She muttered under her breath. She hadn't asked for help, she wanted answers. Sarah decided she needed to know the truth. She couldn't leave things hidden anymore. If Daniel's anger had escalated to hitting Emily, there had to be more behind it. She needed to understand why he snapped so violently, and why Laura kept warning her. She found Daniel sitting on his bed, staring at a wall, his phone in his hands. His shoulders were tense, and he looked like a man carrying a weight too heavy to bear. Daniel, Sarah said softly. We need to talk. Now. He didn't respond at first. Then he exhaled heavily and looked at her, eyes red from lack of sleep or perhaps from shame. Last year, he began slowly, I had an incident at the school. A child was being loud, too loud, and I lost control. I yelled. People saw. I was angry, and I said things I shouldn't have. I begged you to keep it quiet. Sarah's stomach tightened. She remembered. She had protected him. She had kept his secret. At the time, she thought it was just one mistake, something he could learn from. But it didn't stop, Daniel continued. The anger, it's not just about loud kids. It's bigger than that. I've been stressed for months, work problems, personal failures. I thought I could handle it. I thought I could control it. Sarah nodded slowly. But yesterday, the slap, that wasn't control, Daniel. That was dangerous. That was Emily. Daniel's eyes filled with guilt. I know. I can't explain why I lost control. I tried to calm myself down. I really did. But something happened before the barbecue. Something that pushed me over the edge. Sarah's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Daniel hesitated, looking away. His hands were shaking slightly. I received a message. A text. I didn't show anyone. It said, control your surroundings, or you will lose everything. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. A threat? She asked quietly. Daniel nodded, swallowing hard. I don't know who it's from. Someone from my past. Someone who knows how I lose control. That message, it made me nervous, and I snapped at Emily. Sarah stared at him. Her mind raced. Threats, panic, secrets from the past, and now her daughter hurt. Something dark was unfolding, and she could feel it creeping closer. She kneeled down beside him, her voice firm. Daniel, you need help. You can't handle this alone. You can't hurt Emily or anyone else again. He nodded, his face pale. I know. I'm scared, Sarah. I didn't want anyone to see me like this. I thought I could fix it myself, but I can't. Just then, Laura appeared in the doorway, looking worried and tense. She held her phone tightly in her hand. You need to stop talking, she said quietly to Sarah. There's more you don't know. It's not just Daniel. It's dangerous. You shouldn't dig deeper. Sarah looked at her sharply. Laura, my daughter was slapped yesterday. I have to know the truth. I need to protect her. Laura hesitated, then lowered her gaze. He's not just fighting anger. Someone from years ago is threatening him. They know everything, his weaknesses, his fears. And if we're not careful, they could hurt your family. Sarah's heart raced. Who would do that? Laura shook her head. I don't know. But it's why he lost control yesterday. That message, it wasn't just words. It was fear. Pure fear. Emily, who had been listening quietly, whispered softly. Mommy. Uncle Daniel's eyes, they looked scary. Like he wasn't himself. Sarah felt a shiver. She realized Emily was right. Daniel had been consumed by something dark, something invisible that no one else could see. And it had come dangerously close to destroying her daughter. Sarah straightened up, determination burning in her chest. She would protect Emily. No matter what. And if Daniel wanted to get better, he would have to face the truth no matter how terrifying it was. Outside, the sun shone brightly. But inside the house, shadows lingered. Shadows that no one could touch, shadows that held secrets and danger. Sarah knew one thing for certain, the past was not done with the family yet. And the events of yesterday were only the beginning. Something or someone was watching. And they were not finished. The house felt heavier with every passing hour. Daniel stayed in his room most of the morning, avoiding eye contact with anyone. Sarah paced the living room, her mind racing. The threat was real, someone from Daniel's past, someone dangerous, and the knowledge that her daughter had been hurt weighed on her like a stone. She could no longer ignore the tension simmering under the surface. Finally, Sarah decided to call a family meeting. Emily clung to her hand as they gathered in the living room. Aunt Karen, Uncle Mike, cousins, even Laura reluctantly joined. The room was tense, filled with uneasy whispers and worried glances. Sarah looked at Daniel, her voice calm but firm. "We need to talk. No more hiding. No more secrets. What happened yesterday, it cannot happen again. And you, Daniel, need to tell us the truth about what's going on." Daniel swallowed hard, his hands trembling slightly. I I don't know if I can explain everything. It's complicated." "You have to," Sarah said, her eyes locking with his. "If you don't, this family won't be safe." Daniel hesitated, then exhaled slowly. "It started last year. I made a mistake at a school event. I yelled at a child, lost control. Sarah helped me cover it up. Everyone forgot about it. I thought it was behind me, but it wasn't. Someone found out. Someone from my past. They know me, everything about me." The room went silent. Even Emily stopped coloring. Laura spoke up, her voice trembling. "Daniel has been receiving threatening messages for months. Texts, emails, calls. Someone wants to push him to the edge. And yesterday, the last message came right before the barbecue. It told him to control your surroundings or lose everything. That's why he snapped." Sarah's stomach dropped. "Threats? Who would do this?" Daniel shook his head. "I don't know. But I think it's someone I hurt long ago. Someone I thought I left behind. They're using my fear against me." Uncle Mike frowned. "But that doesn't give you the right to hit Emily. That's a child." Daniel's eyes filled with guilt. "I know. I'm so sorry. I can't take it back. But you don't understand the pressure I've been under. Every day, the messages, the fear, it's like walking on a cliff. One wrong step, and everything crashes down." Sarah placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we face this together. But no one in this family will ever be hurt like Emily was. We protect each other, and that includes stopping whoever is doing this." Laura nodded. "Yes. But we have to be careful. Whoever is behind this, they're clever. They're watching." Emily's small voice broke the tense silence. "Mommy, will they hurt us?" Sarah knelt down beside her. "No, baby. We're going to protect you. Always. But you have to trust me, okay?" Emily nodded, her eyes wide but trusting. Then Daniel's phone buzzed. Everyone froze. Daniel's hand shook as he picked it up. The message on the screen made Sarah's heart stop. "You should have listened. Now it's your turn." The room went deadly quiet. Sarah felt her chest tighten. Her mind raced. This was no longer just Daniel's problem. The threats had escalated. Now, her entire family was in danger. Laura whispered urgently, "We have to find out who's behind this before it's too late. They're testing him, testing us." Sarah clenched her fists. "We will. But first, we have to make sure Emily is safe. No one gets near her until we know the truth." Daniel looked at his sister, guilt and fear written all over his face. "I never wanted this. I just wanted to protect my family." Sarah shook her head. "You endangered them. But now, we fight back. Together." Just as the tension seemed almost unbearable, a faint knock came at the door. Everyone jumped. Daniel slowly walked toward it, wary. He opened the door to see, no one. Just an empty porch. But on the ground lay an envelope, black and ominous. He picked it up carefully. Inside was a single note, written in jagged letters. "You can't hide. We are always watching." The family stared at the message in silence. Fear and shock rippled through them. Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. The past had returned, and it wasn't stopping at Daniel. Whoever was behind this was clever, dangerous, and relentless. Emily clung to her mother, sensing the tension. "Mommy. I'm scared." Sarah hugged her tightly. "I know, baby. I know. But we're going to face this. And we won't back down." The camera of their home security clicked softly in the background, a reminder that unseen eyes were everywhere. Sarah realized one terrible truth: the person who hurt her daughter and who had tormented Daniel was not finished. They were learning, watching, waiting for the next moment to strike. And this time, they might not warn them first. The sun had set outside, but inside the Adams house, darkness lingered. Shadows of fear stretched across the walls, and no one could say how far this danger would reach. Sarah's jaw set firmly. "We uncover the truth. No matter what it takes. Whoever is behind this, we find them." And somewhere, hidden in the night, someone smiled. They knew the family had no idea how close they were to a disaster that could destroy them all. The house was tense. Shadows clung to every corner, as if the walls themselves were aware of the danger lurking outside. Sarah, Daniel, and Emily sat together in the living room, talking in low voices. The message from earlier, the one that said, "You can't hide. We are always watching," had left them all shaken. Daniel's hands shook as he held his phone. He hadn't dared check any messages since the last one. The thought of another warning sent a chill down his spine. For once, the family wasn't ignoring the past. They were facing it. Sarah's voice was calm but firm. "Daniel, we need to fix this. No more hiding. You're not alone. Whatever this is, we face it together." Daniel nodded, his eyes full of guilt. "I never wanted anyone to get hurt. Especially not Emily." Emily, still clutching her mother's hand, looked up at him. "Will you promise, you won't hurt me again?" Daniel swallowed hard. "I promise, Emily. I'll never hurt you again. I swear." The first step was simple: protect Emily. Sarah moved her daughter's bed into her room for the night. She made sure all doors were locked, and the windows were checked. Laura helped, and even Daniel did what he could, though he looked pale and anxious. After Emily was asleep, Sarah and Daniel sat in the living room with Laura. The room was quiet, but the tension was thick. They had no idea who was sending the messages, and that uncertainty made the danger feel immediate. Then Laura spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's something you need to know. Someone from Daniel's past. They're smart. They know his weaknesses. And they're not just threatening him, they're watching us, testing how far they can go." Sarah's heart raced. "Who? Who is doing this?" Laura shook her head. "I don't know. But they've been preparing for a long time. And yesterday, the slap was just the beginning. They wanted to see if Daniel could lose control. And now they know how to push him even further." Daniel's face went pale. "It's true. I felt it yesterday. I was afraid of losing control, afraid I'd hurt someone. And I did. I don't know how much longer I can fight it alone." Sarah took a deep breath. "You won't have to. From now on, we face this together. Whoever is behind this, they're not going to break us." Just then, a soft beep came from Daniel's phone. His hand shook as he picked it up. Another message. It read, "Good. You're finally taking this seriously. But your family, they are weak. Are they ready for what comes next? The words made Sarah's stomach turn. Whoever this was, they were clever, cruel, and patient. They were playing a game, and the family was the target. Daniel's shoulders sagged. I don't know what to do next. I feel like we're being hunted. Sarah's jaw tightened. We stay together. We protect Emily. And we find them. Whoever they are, they won't succeed. For the first time in hours, Daniel nodded. You're right. No more hiding. No more fear. They decided to contact the authorities the next morning. They would share the messages, the threats, everything. But even as they planned, a quiet unease lingered. Whoever was behind this was watching, learning. And they were patient. Later that night, Sarah checked on Emily. Her daughter was sleeping peacefully, unaware of the danger outside. Sarah kissed her forehead and whispered softly, You're safe, baby. Mommy and Uncle Daniel will protect you. Emily stirred in her sleep, murmuring, Don't let him hurt me, Mommy. Sarah held her close. I won't. I promise. But deep down, she knew the danger wasn't over. It was only beginning. Outside the window, the street was dark and quiet. The wind rustled the leaves, and somewhere, hidden in the shadows, someone watched. They saw the lights in the house, the family inside, and smiled. They knew Sarah, Daniel, and Emily had no idea how close they were to disaster. The next morning, Sarah received a notification on her phone. She opened it and froze. It was a message, sent from an unknown number. You did well protecting your daughter. But the real test starts now. Sarah's hands trembled. She looked at Daniel, who met her gaze with fear and guilt. Who is this? Emily asked softly from the doorway, clutching her teddy bear. Sarah knelt beside her, trying to hide the fear in her eyes. No one, baby. Mommy's here. Nothing will hurt you. But even as she said it, she knew the truth. Someone was out there. Someone dangerous. And they weren't done yet. The Addams family had survived the first storm, but a bigger, darker storm was coming. And no one knew when it would strike next. The screen fades to black. Cliffhanger, the story ends with suspense, leaving the audience anxious and waiting for the next part of the story.